They thought grand gestures proved love. They thought proposing in a courtroom in front of your soon-to-be ex-wife showed confidence, dominance, the ability to move on. When Tyler Brennan dropped to one knee during his divorce hearing, pulling out a diamond ring and asking his pregnant girlfriend to marry him, he thought he was making a statement. He was, just not the one he intended. Because the woman who said yes was carrying his brother's child, and his brother was sitting in the gallery, 3 rows back, waiting to testify. This is the story of a proposal that became a detonation, and the moment a family imploded in front of a judge. The divorce had been brutal from the start. Tyler Brennan, 34, owned a successful chain of car dealerships across Oregon. He was charming, ambitious, and convinced that rules were suggestions for people with less money than him. His wife, Amanda Brennan, had filed for divorce after discovering Tyler's affair with Jenna, a 25-year-old sales associate at his flagship dealership. Amanda had known Tyler was unfaithful, the late nights, the receipts, the perfume that wasn't hers. But Jenna was different. Tyler wasn't hiding her, he was flaunting her. He'd bring Jenna to business dinners, post photos of them together on social media. He wanted Amanda to see, wanted her to feel small. So Amanda filed, asked for half of everything, the house, the dealerships, the investments. Tyler fought her on every single line item. The hearing was set for November 14, 2024. Tyler arrived in a custom suit, Jenna on his arm. She was visibly pregnant, 7 months, her belly round beneath a tight designer dress. She wore heels despite the pregnancy, and her hand rested possessively on Tyler's shoulder as they walked into the courthouse. Amanda sat at the defendant's table with her lawyer, a calm woman named Karen Mills. Amanda looked tired, thinner than she'd been, but her eyes were steady. Judge Harold Fisher presided. He was in his 60s with steel gray hair and a reputation for no-nonsense rulings. He'd seen it all, or so he thought. "This is a dissolution of marriage hearing," Judge Fisher began. "Mr. Brennan is petitioning for divorce on grounds of irreconcilable differences. Both parties are contesting asset division." Tyler's lawyer, a slick man named Brad Morrison, stood up. "Your Honor, my client has built his business from the ground up. Mrs. Brennan contributed minimally to the success of the dealerships. We believe a 70-30 split in favor of Mr. Brennan is appropriate." Karen stood up immediately. "Your Honor, Mrs. Brennan worked as the bookkeeper for the first dealership for 5 years without salary. She co-signed loans. She managed payroll. She is entitled to half." Judge Fisher nodded. "We'll hear evidence on contributions, but first—" Tyler stood up abruptly. Brad grabbed his arm. "Tyler, sit down." Tyler shook him off. He turned to face Jenna, who was sitting in the front row of the gallery. She looked confused. "Your Honor," Tyler said, his voice loud and confident, "I apologize for the interruption, but I need to do something before we proceed." Judge Fisher's eyebrows rose. "Mr. Brennan, this is highly irregular." "I know, Your Honor, but life doesn't wait for paperwork." Tyler walked over to Jenna. The courtroom went silent. Amanda's hand gripped the table edge. Tyler dropped to one knee. He pulled a small velvet box from his jacket pocket and opened it. A diamond ring glittered under the fluorescent lights. "Jenna," Tyler said, his voice carrying to every corner of the room, "you've shown me what real love looks like. You've given me a future, our baby. I don't want to wait another second. Will you marry me?" Jenna's hands flew to her mouth. Tears filled her eyes. She nodded, unable to speak. "Yes," she finally whispered. "Yes." Tyler slid the ring onto her finger and kissed her. The gallery erupted in murmurs, some shocked, some disgusted. Amanda sat frozen, her face pale. Tyler stood up, grinning, and turned to face the judge. "Your Honor, I apologize for the disruption. I just wanted everyone here to know that I'm moving forward with my life." Judge Fisher's expression was unreadable. "Mr. Brennan,
"Sit down." Tyler walked back to his table, still smiling. Brad looked like he wanted to disappear. "Now," Judge Fisher said slowly, "are there any witnesses either party would like to call?" Karen stood up. "Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls Ethan Brennan." Tyler's smile faltered. The door at the back of the courtroom opened. A man walked in. He looked almost identical to Tyler. Same height, same build, same dark hair. But his face was harder. His eyes were filled with something that looked like guilt mixed with rage. It was Ethan, Tyler's younger brother. Tyler went white. What is he doing here? Ethan walked to the witness stand. He was sworn in. He sat down, his jaw tight. Karen approached. "Mr. Brennan, what is your relationship to the defendant?" "I'm his brother," Ethan said quietly. "And do you know the woman Tyler just proposed to, Jenna Hayes?" Ethan's hands clenched into fists on the armrest. "Yes." "How do you know her?" Ethan looked at Tyler. Tyler was shaking his head, his mouth open. "I've been seeing Jenna for 8 months," Ethan said, his voice steady but strained. "We've been in a relationship, a physical relationship." The courtroom exploded. Gasps, whispers. Jenna stood up, her face red. "That's a lie! Ethan, what are you doing?" Judge Fisher banged his gavel. "Order! Miss Hayes, sit down." Jenna sank back into her seat, tears streaming down her face. Karen continued. "Mr. Brennan, are you the biological father of the child Jenna Hayes is currently carrying?" Tyler shot to his feet. "Your Honor, this is insane." "Sit down, Mr. Brennan." Ethan took a deep breath. "I don't know for sure," he said, "but it's possible. We were together during the time she would have conceived." Karen pulled a document from her folder. "Your Honor, Miss Hayes agreed to a paternity test as part of discovery. The results came back yesterday." She handed it to the bailiff, who brought it to the judge. The judge opened it, read it. His face darkened. "The test shows a 99.7% probability that Ethan Brennan is the biological father of the child Miss Hayes is currently carrying." The courtroom erupted again. Tyler was on his feet, screaming, "You're lying! Ethan, you son of a—" "Mr. Brennan," Judge Fisher's voice was like a whip. "One more outburst and you will be held to contempt." Tyler sat down, his hands shaking. He looked at Jenna. She was sobbing, her face buried in her hands. "You told me it was mine," Tyler whispered. Jenna didn't answer. Karen turned back to Ethan. "Why are you testifying today?" Ethan looked at Amanda. "Because Tyler doesn't deserve half of what she built. He cheated on her, he humiliated her, and he doesn't even know the truth about the woman he just proposed to." He turned to Tyler. "I'm sorry, man. I tried to tell you, but you wouldn't listen. You were so convinced Jenna was yours, so convinced you'd won." Tyler's face crumpled. "You slept with my girlfriend." "You slept with my fiancé 3 years ago. You destroyed my engagement. You laughed about it. Told me I'd thank you day." The silence in the courtroom was suffocating. Judge Fisher removed his glasses, pinched the bridge of his nose. "This is the most dysfunctional display I have ever seen in my courtroom," he said quietly. "Mr. Tyler Brennan, you just proposed to a woman carrying your brother's child. You did this during a legal proceeding, in front of your wife." Tyler said nothing. He looked broken. Judge Fisher turned to Amanda. "Mrs. Brennan, I am awarding you 60% of all marital assets, the house, the primary dealership, and full control of joint investments." He looked at Tyler. "Mr. Brennan, you are awarded 40%, and I suggest you use some of that money for therapy, because this family needs serious help." He banged the gavel. "This hearing is adjourned."
Tyler sat in the courtroom long after everyone else had left. Jenna had fled, sobbing, still wearing the engagement ring. Ethan had walked out without looking back. Amanda had gathered her things and left in silence. Brad, his lawyer, put a hand on his shoulder. "Tyler, we need to go." "I just proposed," Tyler whispered, "in front of everyone." "I know. to a woman pregnant with my brother's baby." Brad said nothing. There was nothing to say. Tyler stood slowly, walked out of the courtroom, walked past the reporters who'd somehow caught wind of the chaos, walked to his car. He sat in the driver's seat and stared at the steering wheel. He'd wanted to humiliate Amanda, wanted to show her he'd moved on, wanted to prove he'd won. Instead, he'd proposed to a lie, in front of a judge, in front of his wife, in front of the world. And he'd lost everything. If this story left you stunned, take a moment to like this video. It reminds us that public displays mean nothing without private truth. Share this with anyone who's ever been humiliated by someone who thought they'd won. And subscribe for more stories where karma doesn't wait for the credits to roll. Until next time, remember, you can stage a proposal, you can perform confidence, but you can't fake DNA, and you can't fake integrity. Justice always finds a way.